Heap of donut trouble you are. Not really, just kidding. I was just messing with you. Anyways, welcome back to another episode of Catropolis. In this video, I want to cover the Mattel distribution of the Disney Pixar Cars diecast mainline. And I just want to address that within the last 5 years, the distribution wasn't so great. For a lot of longtime Cars collectors like me, it's really frustrating and the struggle is real. There used to be a time in this golden age when we used to walk into retail stores and we used to see like a huge selection of Disney Pixar Cars Mattel diecasts and new releases like every week. Nowadays, we don't see that anymore. And Walmart, for example, hasn't been doing such a good job at restocking their selection because they always have these like old releases, especially those NASCAR Extended Universe line, where people just aren't buying them, leaving them peg warm in the shelves and taking up shelf space. This is ridiculous. I'm just saying that the distribution of the Mattel Disney Pixar 1/55 scale diecast mainline hasn't been like what it used to be back in the golden age of the late 2000s and early 2010s, when we used to see like a cluster of new releases in the retail stores. There's a few reasons behind the lack of inventory at the retail stores. So let's break it down. So according to my Google research, here are the answers that I received. First off, we have inconsistent retailer practices. 1. Case quantities vary by store. Retail chains handle cases differently. For instance, reports indicate that in 2025, Target stores often received full cases, leading to a broader assortment, while Walmart, on the other hand, frequently received smaller half cases, resulting in less variety on the pegs. Second is reduced stock on shelves. In some cases, like often a lot, retailers like Walmart and Target appeared to limit their inventory to minimize exposure to economic uncertainties like tariffs. This strategy leaves pegs empty or stocked with non-Cars merchandise, disappointing a lot of customers, especially longtime Cars collectors like me. So the second reason is manufacturing and supply chain challenges. The first one is tariff uncertainties. In mid-2025, Mattel acknowledged that tariff uncertainties and global trade dynamics were impacting its business, causing retailer order delays. This led to a 2-month pause in forecasting and a reduced net sales outlook for the year, which is why 2025 hasn't been so great lately. Also, diversified supply chain costs. This means to mitigate future tariff costs. Mattel has been diversifying its manufacturing away from China. However, this shift can lead to higher costs and potential logistical hurdles, which may have impacted production flow. This is why we have collectors frustrated in response to more re-releases than brand new characters. Many collectors voiced severe disappointment in 2025 and the years prior over the high number of re-released Piston Cup racers and the lack of new characters in the mainline series. The abundance of less exciting stock can make it seem like distribution is poor, even when pegs are full. Very deceiving. Also, market saturation and low perceived demand is another reason why we have lack of Cars inventory. Some speculate that if retailers see poor sales performance for Disney Cars diecasts, potentially caused by too many uninteresting re-releases, they may reduce future orders or allocate shelf space to other, more profitable products. Another reason can be resellers and scalpers contributing to this. As with other collectibles, the resale market, such as eBay for example, can affect in-store availability. Highly sought after diecasts are often bought up quickly by resellers, leaving shelves bare for average collectors. Hence, there is a shift in retailer strategy, online versus in-store. While in-store distribution has been erratic, online retailers like Entertainment Earth offer pre-orders for full cases of new releases, providing a more reliable, though often more expensive, option for dedicated collectors. If this continues any further, then it's going to hurt Mattel's business. More and more Cars collectors will be collecting less Disney Cars over time, and this means that Mattel's going to be losing business if they don't turn the tide in this epidemic of poor distribution. So to summarize this, reports from this year indicated that the poor distribution of Mattel's Disney Pixar Cars diecast line is less a widespread logistical failure and more a reflection of several issues, including inconsistent retail strategies, manufacturing delays, and a focus on re-releases over brand new characters. While some distribution has been good, other instances have frustrated collectors. And this is why I personally have not been collecting Disney Cars diecasts as much this year. It's because the distribution isn't what it used to be. It's sad. It's upsetting. And many longtime collectors are questioning, could this be the end of the Cars diecast era? This better not be, so Mattel better get a grip and fix this issue. So basically, don't blame the retailers for the lack of inventory. It's totally not their fault. So the true reason behind why the Disney Cars 1/55 scale diecast line was great in the past is because, based on my Google research, here are the answers. So, the robust distribution of Disney Cars Mattel diecast toys in the late 2000s and early 2010s decades were driven by a combination of high public demand, Mattel's existing production capacity from its Hot Wheels brand, and a successful tiered distribution strategy. A success of the Cars films, especially the first movie that was released nearly 20 years ago in 2006, created a strong and persistent market for the diecast toys that continued well beyond the initial film releases. Back then, we've had themed releases. The toy line's longevity was fueled by a consistent stream of new releases, including characters and variants from the movies, shorts, and television series. Back then, we've had targeted collectors. Dedicated Cars collectors tracked and traded different packaging and limited runs, further boosted demand and ensured that the toy line remained active in the stores. In terms of existing manufacturing infrastructure, back then, in the glory days of Cars collecting, Mattel was well prepared for the immense demand for Cars diecast toys, thanks to its long-running and well-established Hot Wheels brand. In other words, the Hot Wheels brand is what contributed to the high productivity of the Cars diecast line. So indeed, that is history, a piece of history. Mattel already had a massive state-of-the-art die-cast production facility in Asia that was operating at full capacity. The years prior to the 2020 pandemic, there was increased capacity, meaning the company further expanded its production capabilities to meet the enormous volume required for the Cars line. Back in those good old days, Mattel used a tiered distribution model that served different retail levels, ensuring wide availability and targeting different consumer interests. That's what sparked the enormous distribution of Cars diecasts back in the early 2010s. Back in this well-deserved golden age, we had a lot more retailers. We had large chains like Walmart, Target, and Toys R Us that served as the primary distribution points, ensuring that the Cars toys were available to the mass market. However, their sporadic ordering could have led to inconsistent stocking. In terms of smaller and exclusive retailers, Mattel maintained special partnerships such as with Kmart for collector events and distributed to regional chains like Kohl's and Kroger's Fred Meyer for special displays. This tiered approach maximized the retail coverage. Also, back in the good old days, Mattel enticed collectors by introducing numbered releases and ultra-rare chase cars that were produced in every limited quantities, driving collector interest. The number of toys in each shipping case was deliberately varied. Common diecasts were packed with more frequency, while rarer items might appear only once per case, creating a Cars collector's hunt for exclusive diecasts that are harder to come by. And many Cars collectors enjoyed this experience. Unfortunately, those good old glory days are over. It is what it is. But hopefully, with enough voiced complaints and criticism from various collectors around the world, that Mattel will finally get the message and say, we need to fix this. We need to resolve this distribution inventory crisis and return the Cars diecast line back to its former glory, hopefully in the near future by 2026 for a historic milestone, which is the 20th anniversary of the very first Cars movie that was released in 2006. Wouldn't that be something? Anyways, I hope you all understand what I talked about. So once again, I'm Catropolis. Thank you all for stopping by and watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like, hit the bell, and subscribe. Thank you all, and I'll see you all next time.